Hello and welcome to the Smell of Glove podcast. I am St. Paulie D, aka Jungle Jim 67 on Twitter,
And I'm Dr. J, MB Body on Twitter.
and you're joining us from the Delta Lounge today, Dr. J.
I am in Atlanta.
We-
Seagates.
So, are you flying out? Are you flying to, or where yet? What's going on?
On my way home from Chicago.
Chicago, successful visit.
Extremely successful.
Did you get a chance to meet up with any of the Celtic CFC guys out there? I know you were in Dallas during the week with the boys down there, right?
Yeah, I watched the game down at Lone Star in Dallas, which was an absolute blast. But no, the Hamilton game was on while I was in the air, so I had to watch it from the airplane.
Yeah, I got a chance to meet the guys down at the Chicago CFC last time I was down in June. Great guys. But today's a special episode because we actually have a guest on our show for the first time ever, and we have my mate Brendan on the show. Hello, Brendan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. Brendan's actually a season ticket holder and is doing a wee bit of travelling and is visiting me here in Canada. You were down in New York midweek for the Zagreb game with
I
the,
was
the
watching
Fenian boys.
watching the Dynamo Zagreb game at Jack Dempsey's in New York. Really good crowd.
Good guys. Dr. J, you've been down to Jack Dempsey's, have you not?
Oh, too many times. I loved it. Love it, love it, love it. Yep, I got my sticker up there too.
Yeah, we've got some stuff from them. Great club. Aye, moving on. Obviously, since our last podcast, we've played the Zagreb game and we've played the Hamilton game. We're not going to go into too heavily into match reports, etc. Because I really think that the home boys do a much better job of that than we do. But Dr. J, what were your thoughts on Zagreb to begin with?
We got our 3 points. Moving on. We hung on. I mean, I think Hamilton's more of an issue, but
Yeah.
But I'd rather talk about fun things than talk about Hamilton right now.
I think I'm probably the same. Brendan, what are your thoughts on Zagreb anyway, quickly?
Oh, I thought we were lucky, very lucky. Craig Gordon again kept us in the game.
Yeah.
Like the last European game, so pretty lucky to have him in goals.
Cool. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll move on and talk about individual players later, but the overall feeling of the Zagreb was that I was just so surprised we managed to maintain a lead for so long because we scored in, the third minute? And then managed to not score a goal, but yet defend shakily the entire game and still get away with a 1-0. So, yeah, they're probably a bit lucky there. So, not to dwell on it, but Hamilton, a 1-0 loss at home to Hamilton, who are now 6 points clear. Dr. J, you saw the first half. What did you make of the first half?
I saw the first half, and it was. I mean, Guidetti is. I mean, it's the second time he's missed close up. So my question to you is: do you think that's becoming a trend? Do you think he's finished a couple times, but I mean, he missed the easy one against Hearts at the very beginning of the game. Missed this one here. What does that tell you?
I don't know. I think it'd be hard to say it'd be confidence or whatever. But my thing with Guidetti at the moment is not that he's missing like a couple of easy chances. I think strikers can shake that off and move on from it. My problem with him at the moment isn't actually him; it's the rest of the team being unable to support him or supply him with any chances.
Well, I mean, he's had those 2 easy chances, especially today. I think the game changes in Hamilton if he hits that first one, 6-7 minutes in. But I like his work rate. I like what he does. So I really don't have a problem with him right now, even though even though I've read of course stupid stuff on Twitter after a loss. We have no quality strikers. Like, come on, really?
No. I don't know. I think we didn't actually cross the ball at all in pretty much the first half. The only time we started crossing the ball was when we brought him off and had Lee Griffiths and Stokes up front. Neither of them are going to score a headed goal, to be honest with you, unless it's an absolute.
I only heard Lee Griffiths played until you started to send me text messages and said, "Oh, it's the Griffiths hour."
I mean, you see that, Paul, about the crosses, but Stokes did miss 2 fairly sitters with the headers.
Yeah, like I was saying, he's not going to score
He's not
headers.
gonna score.
So I don't know why Stokes and Griffiths aren't target men, so they're not going to header. They will, we've made the point before. Guy Hooper has scored a couple of goals with his head, but Gary Hooper was never a header of the ball.
No.
Stokes and Griffiths they're never going to score headed goals like that.
That's because Hooper was standing on his head when he kicked it with his feet. That's how he scored it with his head.
Yeah, no, he would do anything to avoid heading on the ball. Pretty terrible performance again. Just not enough chances created whatsoever. Were there any standouts? Did you pick anyone out that you thought played well, Dr. J?
Gordon, like Brendan said, but today, no, not at all.
Not at all. Brendan, did you pick anyone out that you thought were?
No, not in particular. I mean, bottom end to the top end of the team, there wasn't really a standout player. Van Dijk's pretty solid as usual, and Gordon, well, most of his work was just picking the ball at the back of the net. That one goal.
Yeah, I think that Gordon came out a couple of times to pick up on a few things that the defence let through. And I remember saying at the time that Fraser Forster would never have done that. So there's a couple of kudos to him, but you can't really give him
Yeah.
can't really give anybody passing grades at the minute. What I felt was like, obviously we've made a joke on the show before that I'm like this Griffiths fanboy, and I really like the guy on the field. I think he's got a big engine. I think he's worked really hard, and he's got like a sense of he's tenacious, and like there's a sense of urgency when he's on the field where he reminds me in the same sense of Brown being quite urgent and like moving things quickly and a lot faster. And things did pick up when he came on, but then again, it was the last 10 minutes and we're 1-0 down, so that's to be expected. What I felt was when they brought him on, it feels like Ronnie's used him a couple of times now, and it's reluctantly. He brings him on in situations where he has to play him. Like they're 1-0 down and it doesn't make any sense not to bring the striker on. Am I just getting the wrong end of the stick here, or is that the case? Dr. J, I'll put that to you first.
No, I agree with you. In fact, I was screaming at the TV against Hearts, put the man on. I mean, if you want someone who really, really wants to be in a game and wants to be involved in a game, that's the man for that game. And they brought Skepovic on, and I don't understand. I mean, I don't personally right now. I don't see a difference between Skepovic or Stokes or Griffiths as far as quality goes. Guidetti seems to be the standout man right there. So, and I think you're right with a lot of it with the crosses being an issue because Izzy had some absolute flyers today. I mean, he had a couple that landed somewhere in the director's box, a couple of them. It was crazy.
Yeah. So, Brent, would you say that's a fair analogy? Do you think maybe that Griffiths isn't getting a fair shake of the stick, or is it like potentially just like he's not being able to force his way in the team? I mean, have Stokes, Guidetti, and Skipovic been infinitely better than him, or do you agree that potentially they're much of a muchness at the moment? Or
My feeling just now is that Ronnie's trying to get his top two strikers. He's trying to get a settled team just now, so he's trying out Stokes first. I don't know if that means that Griffiths will get a chance. But I think what you said today, when he came on, there was more urgency. He might get a bit of a chance later on. But I agree, it was a slightly odd substitution at the time because I think he brought on Griffiths for Guidetti at the time, which was a bit odd. I think he maybe should have brought on Griffiths for Wakazo because he was booked. I think that's why he did that. But I think Griffiths will get his chance. But I think just now he's just sticking with Stokes. But with those couple of misses he had today, you might see Griffiths playing in the next game.
Just to get it a bit more lighthearted, because I mean, today is we don't want to just sit and moan about the loss. But one of my notes I've got during the game that I wrote down is Griffiths sets up Stokes a sitter. Stokes misses because he's not very good at football. So, and then underneath later on, I've just scribbled in capital letters with a star beside it, another fucking sitter set up by Tonev. So I can't actually remember that one, but if it's capital letters, then obviously it definitely happened. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what did you write when Stokes set up Commons on Thursday?
I didn't write anything down because I was at work. I was pretending to work and listening/watching to the game on Celtic TV.
If you were going to write something down, what would it have been? That great pass from Stokes because he sucks at football.
No, I thought that was I think it was a well played pass, well weighted pass, but I think Commons done most of the work. To be quite honest with you, am I being unfair there?
Slightly.
You think? I think Commons more made it. I think that Stokes took it well, like playing him through the ball and the connection there, but. I don't know, for me, Stokes, he just drifts out the game too much, and he's just had too many. It's a Kyle syndrome where Kyle might come on and play an absolute blinder next week, but I'd be loath to play him the week after that because he just had too many situations and too many times he came on and just let down. And Stokes has went missing just numerous times where Stokes' future at Celtic potentially being a player to come off the bench and put in a 20-minute shift rather than being the starting striker or starting support man that plays week in, week out. Am I being too harsh?
I think you're exactly correct because you got to look down the barrel of Forrest coming back and Matthews coming back with Lustig, which means that you're going to probably find Forrest or Matthews looking at that right wing. We get rid of Ambrose, we put Lustig at the back. You got Wakaso, Tonev, and where do you put those guys? Where do you put Stokes? And I think that's really what if I was going to pick my 11, those are three people that would definitely be in it right now, and they're injured. I get that, but I mean, it's hard. Here you go. Let me ask you a question. The tweets after today are starting to build up with the hashtag, sack Ronnie type stuff or Ronnie must go. Is it fair? Do you think right now to ask that question when he still doesn't have his full complement. He's hamstrung with Ambrose, who to me, every time he gets the ball, it reminds me of going to a strip club because it's almost like you're about to do something, but nothing ever happens. Every time he gets the ball, you kind of get there, but he always stops and pulls out. It's just, is it me? I mean, do you see that too? Or, I mean, he's useless down the right side.
Yeah, no, I think like some of his cross balls today were absolutely appalling. Where he kind of like stops and then chips the ball. Like instead of like just like putting his foot through the ball and like putting in a decent cross, he like stops and chips the ball, which has tons of hang time in it. I don't know who's going to get in the end of these. I mean, we don't have Jan Koller up front, who's 10 feet taller than everyone else to do it. So like, no, there's going to be no power on it. I mean, one of the chances Collins had a header today, it was a flick on from Stokes, and then he just couldn't get any purchase in the ball. So Ambrose is completely inept. We'll maybe go back to him later on. The only other thing that I had in the game, away from, we're going to have a wee look at Johansen, but there's one point where Sir Scott Brown like won the ball with a slide tackle, stood up, and then played a 50-yard pass across the field.
Yes.
It was about that. And I was like, that's actually fantastic play. And I think like, see if that team gets better and like Brown, I think Brown could have a really good season this year if this team starts to click a little bit more, because I think he's playing quite well in a bad team. I think that's a sign of a good player that can kind of like lift things. But you could also then turn it around and say, well, he's the captain, he should be driving the team, so it's kind of his fault they're playing bad. But I don't know, I just wish that a few other people would take his example. What we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Johansen, right? Because he's a player that, would it be agreed, Dr. J, that he's been taking a few pelters on Twitter recently? I mean, what's your overwhelming thoughts on Johansen so far?
I'm with you there, and you're fairly on about it, because he's another one who disappears. But even, I mean, he'll not be there, and then all of a sudden he played Gudedian with an outside the left foot pass today down the right side, which was absolutely just stunning. Or was it Brown? I forget which one it was. And he played him right in from 35, 40 yards, which was a great pass in the first half today. And then it's like you don't hear him for, it's like nothing, you know. And I think a part of that is also you start to see that link is missing, because there's a couple times this morning that Commons had to come all the way back to the midline to come get the ball, to collect the ball, to move the team forward. It's like he goes in and out. And I think some of his criticism is fair.
Yeah, some people suggested that he drops out of games too much. He goes missing for periods of time. He's not effective, and he's only in it for 10 minutes of 45. So what we decided to do when we were watching this game is, in the second half, not the first half, the second half, we decided to take an analytic approach. It's becoming the modern thing in football, where the statistics of like number of passes, etc., to see just what his influence was on the game. This by no means is any form of huge indicator how he plays, but it does give you a little bit of an indication of his influence on the second half anyway. So it basically came on from around the goal onwards, we're taking this from. We broke it down into numerous different categories, right? So I'm going to talk you through the categories. We've got basic pass, which is just like, your average 5-yard pass to the guy beside you, passing it to the other centre half, or passing it to the left back overlapping, where it doesn't really take much effort, and it's basically any football player could do this, or any guy down the park could probably do that pass. Then there's skilled pass, which is beyond obviously the basic pass, where it's not a key, it doesn't set up a chance, but you might get the ball at the edge of your own box and then play a ball for 20 yards to a guy who then runs on and makes another 3 or 4 passes to set up an attack, right? Then we've got pass attempt, where he's tried to make a valid pass. He's given the ball to, say, Azagiri or whoever, and they've lost it, so it wasn't a completed pass, but made a valid attempt. Then we've got key pass. Key pass is basically setting up a chance, so passing it through to one of the strikers and him getting a shot on goal. Then we took crap pass or loss of possession, so either being tackled and losing the ball, or giving the ball away through slack passing. Then winning possession, either by tackling or whatever. Tackles and blocks, which we defined as stopping an opponent's attack, where it be a slide tackle or just kicking the ball at a player or whatever. Not actually winning possession, but breaking up the play. Then we've got fouls, obviously. A significant run, which we thought was about over 15 yards, where he actually beat a man and wasn't just running into space, etc. Shots on target, wasted chances, and then we added just basic notes at the end of it.
Did you hire a team? Did you hire a team of people to watch this one guy run around the field today?
No, we literally just wrote down these categories and just put a tally mark every time he done it. And you know what? It was quite